There's something really special about Godzilla Minus One. And no, it's not because the previous movie already won an Oscar. This is one of the best Japanese live-action Godzilla films, but perhaps also one of the few Japanese movies to achieve global success on an unprecedented level. This year has seen an abundance of large-scale action and science fiction movies, and gracing the list with its presence is Godzilla Minus Zero, directed by Takashi Yamazaki, who was one of the winners of the Oscar for Best Visual Effects for its predecessor. The teaser trailer has been out for a while, and fan theories are getting crazier each day, but here are 10 details that I'm about to discuss in this video. I'll also talk about popular fan theories that might play out on screen. So stay with me to the end of the video. Let's get started. Godzilla comes back bigger, angrier, and freshly regenerated. As established by the ending of Godzilla Minus One, Godzilla has been regenerating after the events of the film. Set in 1949, exactly 2 years after the massive Tokyo attack, Minus Zero is continuing the cliffhanger from the last film, where Godzilla's flesh began to regenerate as it sank into the ocean. The teaser's only about 30 seconds long, but in just those few seconds, it manages to show the scale of the monster and the post-war Tokyo situation. The teaser begins with footage of ruined buildings in the city, when a voiceover plays in the background. I speculate Godzilla can withstand even a thermonuclear strike, another moral boundary mankind shouldn't cross. But right after the voiceover ends, we see an aircraft drop what appears to be a nuclear weapon toward the water, followed by explosive imagery and Godzilla rising from the ocean, all set to wreak havoc again. As we see in the teaser, Godzilla appears to have grown into a colossal monster, although the teaser doesn't explain exactly why. Now, it's important to remember that Toho hasn't disclosed anything yet about the actual size of Godzilla in this movie, but especially since it appears in New York City and looks enormous beside the roughly 46-meter-tall Statue of Liberty itself, several online outlets are suggesting that it might be 100 to 120 meters tall, almost double the size of Godzilla in Minus One. A second ancient kaiju may be stirring beneath Mount Fuji. So, in an unconfirmed leaked plot synopsis reported by these outlets, we found out that something ancient and mysterious may be taking place near Mount Fuji beneath Aokigahara. This might be hinting at a second ancient monster emerging for a kaiju-level fight. Although neither Toho nor the teaser has confirmed anything about a second monster's emergence, we can still hope for a multi-kaiju conflict in the movie. Aokigahara, also known as Jukai, meaning the Sea of Trees, is actually a dense forest located on the northwestern flank of Mount Fuji, one of the most sacred and culturally significant peaks in Japan. Also, Aokigahara, a dense and mysterious forest with a history of legends surrounding it, could be an ideal birthplace for a dormant force of nature, maybe another ancient monster lying beneath the forest bed. Now, many fan theories suggest different kinds of possibilities. While some say the second monster could be none other than King Ghidorah, others speculate that it could be a monster like Anguirus or Rodan. But after all, these can also be some truly crazy predictions that are going to hit the spot or total daydreams unless the movie's official promotional material confirms any of that. Noriko's body may be turning into a weapon. Noriko Oishi, the romantic partner of Koichi Shikishima, is going to be a pivotal part of Minus Zero, since the ending of Minus One took her character in a wild new direction and left room for many possibilities. In the ending scene of Godzilla Minus One, Koichi went to visit Noriko in the hospital, fearing she may have died in Godzilla's atomic breath explosion in Ginza. But Noriko was alive, albeit terribly injured. As the camera zoomed in on her neck, we saw a strange dark mark moving across it, which remained unexplained in the film. Later, however, director Takashi Yamazaki confirmed that the mark was made up of Godzilla's cells, although he didn't establish exactly what those cells were doing to her. So maybe due to the explosion in Ginza, Noriko was contaminated by the G cells, which helped her survive such massive destruction. Now, the presence of Godzilla's cells in her body has already been established, but fan speculations went way beyond that. We're now thinking maybe Noriko's G-cell contamination can draw her closer to the monstrous rage, maybe turning her into a biological receiver of Godzilla's primal instincts. There's another popular theory fans have been talking about, and that's the origin of Biollante, a creature created from Godzilla cells, rose cells, and human genetic material. The theories are loudly suggesting that maybe in Minus Zero, scientists could harvest Noriko's G-cell infused tissue to try and make a healing agent. Although Toho hasn't confirmed any of this, Cliffhanger has long suggested that Noriko's journey in Minus Zero is going to be an important development for the story. They nuke Godzilla again, and it still doesn't work. The teaser strongly indicates that a thermonuclear strike is going to be attempted in the upcoming movie. Right after the voiceover warns humanity not to cross another moral boundary, what appears to be a nuclear weapon is dropped from an aircraft toward the water. The teaser's editing suggests that Godzilla survives or emerges around the strike, although the exact sequence and outcome have not been revealed. Minus One artistically portrayed wartime trauma, using Godzilla's emergence as a metaphor for nuclear destruction and the shadow of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But the sequel may prove that humanity will never learn from its mistakes. As the backdrop is 1949, we can imagine Minus Zero is going to deal with Cold War tensions regarding nuclear warfare, which had further escalated into large-scale global anxiety. Godzilla's increased scale and more imposing design could also reflect that growing sense of danger. Since Operation Wadasumi couldn't stop the monster from regenerating permanently, we hope that in Minus Zero, humans will probably learn that it's quite impossible to fight against the destructive cycle of Godzilla's wrath. New York City and the Statue of Liberty are now in frame. This year at CinemaCon in Las Vegas, Takashi Yamazaki presented new footage of Godzilla appearing in New York City with its towering presence near the Statue of Liberty, which is 100% verified to be the actual Statue of Liberty in New York City. Takashi also mentioned that for Minus Zero's visuals, he was inspired by the 2008 sci-fi horror film Cloverfield, especially the scene where the Statue of Liberty's severed head crashes into a Manhattan street. So I think it doesn't need further confirmation that Godzilla will be approaching the United States, as the official first-look footage showcased Godzilla near the Statue of Liberty. Although G-Kids and Toho have not explained why Godzilla is in New York or how much of the movie takes place there, the Statue of Liberty footage itself is official. If the movie follows through on what that teaser suggests, then be sure that the monster has evolved into a global threat rather than just being a post-war Japan problem. American forces may join the fight. The press who attended CinemaCon 2026 in Las Vegas and watched the exclusive Godzilla Minus Zero footage reported clear signs of American military involvement in the film. They spotted American military hardware and Navy vessels and suggested that by 1949, America may finally be intervening to confront the monster, which wasn't yet part of the response in Godzilla Minus One. In the previous film, US military intervention was ruled out because of the rising Cold War tensions with the Soviet Union. So the Japanese government and civilians had to build their own response, which was Operation Wadasumi. However, since Godzilla may have already become a global threat, it's high time for America to step into the picture with its armed forces. Several speculations online have also suggested that there can be an allied force made up of both Japanese and US forces. And if it's true, then it's really going to be a multi-kaiju threat on a global scale. A one-sided response from Japan wouldn't make much difference until the international powers come together to look for a solution. Also, this alliance can hint at the geopolitical situation in post-war Japan, where US forces were already central to the Allied occupation before the Treaty of San Francisco was signed in 1951. So yeah, Godzilla is not just metaphorically hitting all the spots, it's also becoming historically significant. The whole Minus One crew is back, with new roles in peacetime. While almost all of these speculations remain unconfirmed, Toho has at least released a confirmed cast list for Godzilla Minus Zero. The people who survived the 1947 Tokyo attack have now returned for another big kaiju disaster in the upcoming movie. First of all, as the teaser revealed, we got Kenji Noda, played by Hidetaka Yoshioka, the former naval engineer who developed the cable traps and decompression strategy in Minus One. He's now appointed as the director of the Disaster Response Bureau. Then we have Seiji Akitsu, played by Koronosuke Sasaki, the captain of the minesweeping vessel Shinsei Maru, returning in the sequel, this time with more experience in how to face a giant disaster in the form of Godzilla. In the 2023 movie, the young member of Shinsei Maru, Shiro Mizushima, played by Yuki Yamada, had gathered the civilian tugboats to lift Godzilla back to the surface. In the upcoming movie, Shiro is officially returning as well. Sakura Ando, played by Koichi's neighbor, Sumiko Ota, who is returning in the sequel, is now the owner of a local orphanage caring for the children who were left behind during the war. Japanese destroyer Yukikaze's former captain, Tatsuo Hota, played by Mino Tanaka, is returning alongside the other military personnel. Alongside the mentioned old cast in their reformed roles, we get our usual Shikishima family, with Koichi played by Ryunosuke Kamiki, his girlfriend Noriko Oishi played by Minami Hamabe, and a young Akiko played by Sei Nagetani, returning as the heart and soul of the film. But apart from these known faces, we're getting a fresh new addition. This is Min Tanaka, playing a biologist named Kanji Murakami, who's carrying the deep psychological wounds from the time of war. So let's take a quick look at how important he's going to be in the sequel. A war-scarred biologist joins the story. So this fresh new addition to the cast is a traumatized biologist who we haven't seen before in the Minus One film. The biologist, Kanji Murakami, played by critically acclaimed actor Min Tanaka, is officially described as a pivotal character in Minus Zero. Now, Min Tanaka already has an interesting resume, including the critically acclaimed 2025 Japanese feature Kokuho. He was featured in 47 Ronin and the live-action Rurouni Kenshin film series. He also played a crucial part in the Netflix production The Outsider. So, you can already understand the amount of weight his character is going to carry into the sequel. As a biologist, Kanji could bring more scientific perspective to Godzilla's biological structure, the physical evolution of the creature, and how, despite being destroyed in Operation Wadasumi, it's once again regenerated into such a massive monstrous figure. These are possibilities that Murakami's role can help explore. However, as I said, just like every other citizen in this country, Murakami's also carrying deep psychological trauma from the war, which might be resolved by the end of this film. It's the first Japanese production filmed for IMAX. Godzilla Minus Zero is all set to make history by becoming the first ever Japanese production to be filmed for IMAX. This is a huge thing for this production, as it seems winning an Oscar was only the beginning of their iconic journey. Now they're one step ahead in taking Godzilla from its own roots to a whole other level. Now, this might confuse some of you as to what exactly it means to be filmed for IMAX, so let me give you a brief overview. When we watch a movie in IMAX, it doesn't necessarily mean that the movie was shot using IMAX certified cameras. A conventional movie can still be optimized and remastered for presentation in IMAX theaters. Minus Zero, however, was produced under the Filmed for IMAX program, using high-definition digital cameras certified by IMAX, with its sound and imagery optimized for IMAX screens. That doesn't simply mean stretching or converting the frame into a larger one. The format and production process are designed to take advantage of the IMAX presentation. Now, in the IMAX format, we can actually enjoy Godzilla as the creators intended it to be on screen. The massive destruction of cities will be iconic, larger than life, and even more visceral in the IMAX format, which will be able to deliver the immersive experience that a Godzilla movie always was meant to provide. Japan and America get it in the same week for the first time ever. And that's not just it. The good news for us is that Toho and G-Kids, the North American distributor of the movie, are bringing the Western theatrical release just a few days after its Japanese debut for the first time in the history of the Japan-produced Godzilla film series. Yeah, it's quite a big deal, since looking at the last few Godzilla films, there was a familiar pattern of delayed releases in American theaters. For example, when Shin Godzilla was released in 2016, it hit North American theaters months after its theatrical release in Japan. The same had happened in the 2023 film Minus One. The Japanese release was on November 3rd, while in North America, the movie came out on December 1st, making the wait really insufferable for hardcore Godzilla lovers all over the world. Anyway, history is not repeating itself this time, because this time, G-Kids has made sure not to make people wait like this, since waiting is annoying, and in the age of digitization, it's really hard to protect yourself from spoilers. Toho reached an agreement to acquire G-Kids in October of 2024, and G-Kids is now handling the North American theatrical release. Well, Japan is once again releasing Minus Zero on Godzilla Day, November 3rd, commemorating the date when the original Godzilla movie was released in 1954. With the release date of November 3rd, Minus Zero will be celebrating the 72nd anniversary of the King of Monsters. And that's it, guys. The end of 2026 is going to be a crazy one, with so many major action movies in a row. And Godzilla Minus Zero has already raised the bar of expectations, so if you need a quick recap before November 3rd, go watch Godzilla Minus One, which is available on Netflix in many regions. And let's not forget that next year there's going to be Godzilla x Kong Supernova, bringing Godzilla and King Kong back to the Monsterverse. Yeah, we're surely going to talk about that one as well, but on that note, this video's over. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell so that you don't miss our next marvelous video. Don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on Godzilla Minus One. Until then, have a great day, we'll see you in the next one, and as always, stay marvelous.